Season 2 of Gen V is the latest entry into the Boys spin-off series, and marks a return for the show since the tragic passing of Chance Padermo. With the cameras set to roll within weeks of his death, this left the producers of the show with a tough decision to make. Recast Padermo's character Andre, or make adjustments to the script. They decided on the latter, with filming postponed just a month. And with this latest season recently coming to a close, I thought this would be a good time to discuss whether this was a successful follow-up to a really impressive first season. And just for a heads up, this discussion will contain major spoilers. Now, going into this new season, I think a lot of us were curious to see how the writers would deal with the loss of Chance Padermo, as his character Andre was such an integral part of the first season. Padermo was able to convey such natural charisma, and he had a real aura to him, making Andre a fan favourite character. The news of Chance's death shocked the industry, as he seemed like a star in the making, and he was so young. So naturally, when watching this season of Gen V, he was always going to be in our thoughts. The writers clearly anticipated this, so instead of casually writing him out in a way that takes his character out of our thoughts, they've embraced the loss of Chance by killing off Andre and kept his death as a prominent and important part of the story. During the finale of the previous season, Marie, Emma, Jordan and Andre are locked up in the Elmira Centre, having been blamed for the attack on non-soups across the Godolphin University campus. Marie is able to escape from the facility, and off-screen, Andre fails an attempt at breaking out of the Elmira Centre with his friends, with his stubborn determination leading to him overexerting himself with his powers, leading to him succumbing to a fatal stroke. This leaves us as viewers in a uniquely sombre position, where we're watching people grieving the loss of a beloved character, whilst we are also grieving the loss of the character, but of the actor as well. It's such a strange feeling, as you're watching these characters talk so lovingly about Andre, but you know that the actors and writers aren't just talking about Andre, they're talking about Chance. So it felt almost fourth wall breaking. Their grief was our grief, which made for such emotional viewing. This must have been such a tough season to film for everyone involved. This season takes place after the events of The Boys Season 4, where martial law is declared and Homelander bids to put an end to Starlighters and anyone who opposes his power. Whilst on the run, Marie is helped by Starlight, who tasks her with uncovering what the Odessa Project is, a secret initiative started by Thomas Godolphin. Once Marie returns to university and is reunited with her friends, she must deal with the ramifications of the previous season and investigate the mysterious Odessa Project, whilst dealing with Cypher, the new dean, who's training Soups to be more powerful. And I must say, Cypher, who's played by Hamish Linklater, was a real highlight for me as the new dean. He was such a charming yet clearly villainous character, who I found to be an engaging presence whenever he was on screen. He's got such a camp, snobbish personality that felt eerily familiar to Alan Rickman as Snape, which I do mean as a compliment. His character plays a vital role this season, and we're given little hints early on that there's more than meets the eye with the character. Well, I say little hints, but they were a lot more blatant than that, which made the reveal that Cypher is in fact a human being controlled by Thomas Godolphin entirely predictable. I was hoping that this wouldn't be the case, as it was just so obvious. So when the big twist is uncovered, it really fell flat for me. Based on the interviews with the showrunner, they were concerned that people would be able to guess the twist before the revelation, but unfortunately, they didn't disguise it well enough, which was disappointing. However, something that has generally been done well in The Boys and in Gen V is their ultra-cynical social commentary. They take talking points from real life and bring them into here and dial it up tenfold to hilarious effect. It's actually very South Park in that respect, and it does lead to a number of laugh out loud moments. This series has always been at its best when it's taking jabs at everyone, whether it be the left or right, liberal or conservative, something that they struggled with a little bit in the previous season of The Boys. But in this season of Gen V, they're back doing it well, and taking shots at people from all over the political spectrum. Vought talks about fighting against the woke agenda, when really, they're just using this framing as a base to assert more control and increase favourability. And then I particularly love the way they use Jordan, with this bi-gender character being used by the university just to benefit themselves. It's clear that they don't care about the individuals or the larger issues on gender. It's all about looking good and gaining public support, which is how I've always felt about corporations and institutions whenever they jump aboard various social issues and trends. It's impressive how this series is able to be so overtly political and manage to do it without feeling cringe and forced. A key strength of the previous season was the dynamic between all the main cast, whether that be Marie and Jordan, Kate and Andre, Emma and Sam, and others. You always understood where they were coming from and felt the bond. However, unfortunately, none of their relationships feel as strong this season, or as fleshed out. It's hard to put into words, but I felt like a distant observer to their friendships and relationships, whereas previously, I felt much more emotionally involved and connected to them. Emma and Sam's romantic dynamic takes a backseat this season, with a lot more focus given to Marie and Jordan's relationship. But I never fully bought the relationship. It never felt authentic, and it didn't feel fully realised. So when Marie tells Jordan that she loves them, all I could think was really? Because it felt like it came out of nowhere. Their relationship gets quite a lot of screen time this season, but I couldn't get invested in them together, which is a shame, as the actors are clearly trying their best, but they're not given much to work with. Something that particularly frustrated me was the show's attempt to redeem Kate after the horrific events at the end of the last season. Marie and the gang didn't trust her, which makes sense, as she's literally a mass murdering monster. But you could tell early on where they were going with the character. They were going to try to redeem her and make her somewhat sympathetic, but I just couldn't get on board with it. I couldn't care less that she was manipulated. She was going around murdering people and betrayed her friends, so I had no interest in seeing her reconcile with Marie and the others. She's an incredibly dangerous soup that should never be trusted again, and I wish the writers had followed through with her heel turn without trying to walk it back. However, a relationship that I think does work this season is Marie with her sister, Annabeth. At first, I found Annabeth's rejection of Marie to be absolutely infuriating. Like, yeah, I get that Marie killed the parents, but it's not like she meant to. She was just a kid. But eventually, once the layers are peeled back, you begin to understand exactly why Annabeth wanted nothing to do with her. Especially once we find out that Annabeth is also a soup. She's unable to forgive Marie because ultimately she blames herself for not stopping her. Just like Marie, she wasn't aware of how to use her powers properly and feels intense guilt about it. She can't forgive Marie because she can't forgive herself, and that's why she lashed out at Marie all this time. So when we do finally see them bond towards the end of the season, it makes for a strong character arc with real emotional resonance. This season is much more intrinsically linked to the overall narrative of The Boys, making this season of Gen V essential viewing. There are cameos from the main show in virtually every episode, highlighting how integral this season of Gen V is when going into the final season of The Boys. And by the end of the season, the group is brought into the resistance by Annie and A-Train, meaning there's going to be a big old team up next season as they look to take down Homelander and Vought once and for all, which I can't wait for. This season hasn't been as strong as previous seasons from the Boys universe, and for me was a significant step down from season 1 of Gen V. The humour was dialed down a touch, with the season adopting a more sombre tone, rather than the outrageous and hilarious nature we encountered previously, which is understandable considering the Chance situation. But unfortunately, this coincided with weaker writing, at times questionable character choices, and less engaging character dynamics. Although considering the issues they faced in having to quickly rewrite major parts of the season, it is understandable why this wasn't quite at the level of previous seasons. Regardless, there was just about enough in it to keep me invested in these characters, and I look forward to seeing the epic climax for them in the final season of The Boys. They're not coming off the back of the most stellar seasons of The Boys or Gen V, but I'm still confident that they're going to stick the landing. Either way, Season 2 of Gen V gets a thumbs up from me. as despite the issues, it's still worth watching. So, what did you think of the second season of Gen V? And will you be tuning in to the final season of The Boys? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe for more. And I'll see you next time for another video. Goodbye.